Y'all already know what time it is. The Day in Paradise, aka Super Saturday, because you know how we do. We like to get it on over here. Saturday mornings, nice and early. Keep it popping. You know how we do. Shit. Ashes in my weed tray, really? That's not a problem I'll deal with in a second. Anyways, let's get to the videos. We'll do all that later.
Fucking terrible hairline, McDonald's hairline, fucking. The Saiyans are a true warrior race. Don't underestimate them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Vegeta the boxer. Come on, you fucking terrible hairline, McDonald's hairline, fucking hair laughing motherfucker. You lose every goddamn fight. This fucking bitch ass get kicked off the round table. Fucking, oh my god. Move. Activate. Fuck your transformation, nigga. Fuck your power, nigga. Ah, shit. Wait, I'm like dead. I'm dead. You're a woman. I can't see it anywhere. You son of a snake pack of shit. Just drop dead. Oh my god, bruh. That nigga said stronger than it was even before, to the point where you could hold up Mount Smeru on just one shoulder, which basically equaled out to holding up the infinite cosmic sky. Wukong was able to reach perfection on his journey, entering into the incomplete nirvana, which is boundless reality beyond everything, beyond all concepts and limitations. It's above the god realms and the formless realms, which those two realms were already above physicality and dimensions. So we're talking about like true outerversal stuff here. And it doesn't stop there, because at the end of his journey, Sun Wukong was brought before the Buddha again. And this time, he transcended into the complete nirvana, which made him even more powerful.
Much like with episode 1 of Dragon Ball Daima, episode 2...
Not fucking sure if that's gonna make any difference. That didn't look right. Alright, let's get it going on. What up, Cody? Appreciate you stopping by saying something. I know we do Super Saturdays every week. We reviewing Unrelenting Gaming's fan-made mangas for the week. He had plenty of them, but right now this is Geekdom and his review of Dima.
Continues to set the foundation for things to come, while also continuing to feed us seemingly endless bits of lore. There's a lot of this show that I genuinely wonder if it's being done purposely by Toriyama to retcon himself, because we found out some things in this episode of Daima and in the first episode that are not what he had originally said many years ago in interviews or what was stated in the old guidebook material. So episode 2 gave us a number of Easter eggs and tidbits and things that you may have missed, and I want to address those here on the video and go into some of the lore that Dragon Ball Daima is trying to build going forward. Don't forget to leave a like if you're stopping by, and if you're new to Geekdom 101, remember to subscribe and enable all notifications so that way you don't miss a single video. We discuss all things Dragon Ball here, movies, anime, manga, and even some video games. We've been here for 10 years and many more to come. I thank you for your continued support. Let's get to the video. Dragon Ball Daima is borrowing aspects from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT, and a little bit from Dragon Ball Super, but one of the things it's borrowing from original Dragon is not just the iconography of Goku being a kid again, like he was at the beginning of the series, but it's also borrowing the format of the TV episodes, because unlike Super and Z, where you had the recap, you had the intro, then the recap of the previous episode, the title card, then the main episode. In Daima, they're doing it to where you have a recap at the very, very beginning, a little bit of the new episode, followed by the intro to the show, then the title card, and then at the end of the episode, the next episode previews are very, very short. And that aspect is new to the series, because before they were all about 30 seconds. That goes for Dragon Ball, Z, GT, and even Super and Kai. Here, it's very, very brief teasers of the next episode. Early on, in fact, during the recap portion, we get our very first Easter egg, and that is when the dragon grants the wish and is about to leave, and then Goma asks, wait a minute, you were supposed to grant 3 wishes. And then the dragon says, that's just a bonus for regulars. He only grants 1 wish to new people. Now, while that does explain why in Dragon Ball Super Broly Chi got 1 wish, that doesn't really explain what happened in Resurrection F, because Sorbet and Tagoma were certainly newcomers, and in the movie version got 2 wishes, and in the TV show version got 3. So you sort of clean up one contradiction while also creating another, and that's something that, to me, worries me about Dragon Ball Daima, because there's more of that in this episode. In my review for the episode, I pointed out that this is likely the reason as to why Bulma kept using the dragon to give herself cosmetic physical upgrades, because she sees her skin as a kid again, and obviously when Daima ends, they're all going to go back to being adults, and then in the future, she would use the Dragon Balls, actually misuse them in many ways, to make herself look younger and more attractive. In my review, I discussed how funny it was that we see Goten and Trunks talking to each other, but not really talking. We can just read their thoughts, and how they borrowed this from an old 80s comedy film called Look Who's Talking. I'm not sure how popular that movie was in Japan, and it's not a movie that's very well remembered here, but I don't think we've ever seen babies speaking telepathically in any of the Dragon Ball shows. So this is at least new for the franchise. I do consider it still an Easter egg, because it may have been Look Who's Talking, or perhaps there's a Japanese equivalent. Who knows? Something Dragon Ball Daima has already done a bit more consistent than GT is that Kid Goku, now after the wish, has to get reaccustomed to his body. Same thing goes for Vegeta and Piccolo. So even as martial artists and as skilled as they are, because you have a new body with new weight distribution, your limbs are a different size and length, you have to get reaccustomed to it, which is why Goku struggles even flying. Something he's done for decades in this episode. GT, I felt, sort of was a bit inconsistent, where Goku would know some things and not know some things. Here it appears like Goku is sort of just needing time to adjust, and that's good. However, I will say that because Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo are all lifelong martial artists, that means it won't take that long for them to get reaccustomed to these new bodies. Supreme Kai confirms with Goku that Degasu is indeed his younger brother, and originally the reason for this is because Toriyama, many years ago in the early 2010s, discussed that all the Kais come from a magic kaiju tree that plants Shinjin fruit. I've talked about this in multiple videos recently, because that is what the man himself said, and it was published and everything. It appears like that story may or may not have been dropped, but originally we did not know the location of this tree, and also originally in those days, the Demon Realm was said to be at the bottom of Universe 7, sort of tucked away from the rest of the universe. But now Dragon Ball Daima is kind of intimating that the Demon Realm may exist in a separate part of the multiverse, and that the world between worlds could end up being a situation or a location where you can link to other universes, because the Demon Realm is no longer a part of Universe 7 like Toriyama had originally said. Now, this was not said in Dragon Ball Z or in Dragon Ball Super. This was an interview Toriyama did many years ago for a magazine where he revealed this backstory. However, as many of you know, Toriyama is very forgetful, so it's possible that he just forgot, or the true answer has not been revealed yet. I think the best thing to do now is to wait and try to be patient and see where it goes, and see if maybe we get a better explanation of the Demon Realm and how it fits with the multiverse in the next few weeks. Piccolo in this episode had a couple of very interesting bits of dialogue that tell us more about the backstory of the Namekians. He's the first one to reveal that Neva is the Namekian that stayed behind in the Demon Realm when the Namekians would port over, when they would come over from the Demon Realm into Universe 7. And the fact that Piccolo has knowledge of that is quite fascinating. Now, originally, I assumed that that knowledge was from Kami or from his days as Demon King Piccolo before he was reincarnated into this Piccolo. But multiple fans have hit me up about this and have reminded me that Piccolo also has Nail inside of his body as well. And that, I think, is the key, and I'll explain why. Based on just this right here, it seems like Neva is the only or one of the only Namekians still in the Demon Realm. Later in the episode, Piccolo reveals that the Namekians were part of the demon realm and that at one point they escaped into Universe 7. This is something that has already been established even in the first episode. However, the knowledge of this had to come from Nail. Now, why could this have come from Nail and not Kami or Piccolo? If you go back to the original manga and Dragon Ball Z, Nappa and Vegeta were the first ones to recognize Piccolo as being a Namekian. And prior to that, Piccolo and Kami both kind of had an idea they weren't from the planet Earth because of a sort of internal anxiety or feeling internally they had. They sensed it. But the Saiyans telling them that confirmed it. So based on that, they didn't know. However, the one person that probably did know was Nail. Now, how could Nail have known? Let's not forget what Nail's job was on planet Namek. He was the bodyguard for the Grand Elder of Namek, known as Guru in the English dub, known as Saichoro in the Japanese dub. Now, the Grand Elder of Namek birthed many of the Namekians throughout many years and is one of the oldest Namekians in existence, or at least he was at the time of the Frieza saga, which means that he's either as old as Neba or older or younger, but he's close to that sort of ancient Namekian type of lore. So obviously at some point off screen, and yes, this is an obvious retcon, but that's okay because there's tons of it in Dragon Ball. Daima as a whole is a bit of a retcon, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. It depends on how they handle it. But this makes sense to me because if Nail was the Grand Elder's #1 advisor, of course the Grand Elder probably told Nail all about Neba and the Demon Realm. So that would make the most sense as to why Piccolo knows and Kami and Piccolo didn't in the past. I thought it was maybe they unlocked the memory in my review, but I think the Nail explanation actually makes even more sense. Another very cool new bit of information is that the Supreme Kai has a ship that he uses to travel through the universe with. Now, this ship, I think, has caused some confusion. And yes, it is a new bit of story. We find out that the ship was damaged during the fight with Kid Buu at the very end of the Majin Buu saga, which was 6 months or so before Dragon Ball Daima. However, the new bit of information is that the Supreme Kai reveals that he came to Earth in the ship, or came to Universe 7 in the ship, that is to say. He literally says, long ago, I came to this universe in this spaceship. Now, it's not that he came to the universe from the Sacred Kai realm, because remember, and don't forget, Kibito has a special version of instant transmission / instantaneous movement. It's his version where he can teleport to anywhere in Universe 7 because he is, of course, a demigod and an assistant to the Supreme Kai. Now, you have to understand the reason why his teleportation is better than Goku's is because Goku has to be able to lock onto a location or to energy to be able to teleport, whereas Kibito can go anywhere in Universe 7 with his teleportation. So when he brings the ship along, that just kind of confirms that Supreme Kai probably didn't need the ship to go from the Sacred Kai realm to Earth, rather to come into Universe 7. That would tell me that, once again, more clues that the Demon Realm may not be a part of just Universe 7. One of the frequently asked questions that we've gotten is, do all the universes have their own Demon Realm? And originally, I thought the answer was probably yes, because Toriyama's original diagram of the original universe, before he had even come up with the multiverse, showed that the Makai was at the very bottom of Universe 7. However, there's a couple clues that lead me to believe that maybe that's not the case. First of all, the previous episode showing the giant fish warp and the fact that they had sort of that world between worlds, that's one clue. And the next clue that I think is important is the fact that we have Namekians in Universe 7 and Universe 6. So it could be a situation to where when the Namekians left the Demon Realm, they may have split off into two different factions. One group went to Universe 6, one group went to Universe 7, and that's why we have two planet Nameks. That makes the most sense to me. There are two original Namekian planets, one per universe. Besides the fact that, of course, the universes are said to be opposites based on what was, or linked based on what was said in Dragon Ball Super, it still isn't really a contradiction because this could be the reason as to why that is. Another interesting piece of dialogue / lore is that Kibito reveals that a normal spaceship would not be able to get to the Demon Realm. This could be as to why Frieza's forces and the Galactic Patrol and some of these other space, I guess, corporations or factions could never get to the Demon Realm because it takes a very special kind of ship to be able to get there. And in this episode, Bulma is sort of marveled at the technology, and she's going to get to work on fixing the Supreme Kai ship so that they can go into the Demon Realm to save Dende. But prior to that, Glorio shows up in his ship, takes Goku and the Supreme Kai with him, and they're going to go in there first, while Vegeta, Piccolo, and Bulma will follow suit once the ship is finished being repaired within 10 days. Another important piece of clarification is discussion about the pointy ears. They asked Supreme Kai, is everyone with pointy ears from the Demon Realm? And the Supreme Kai says, Not everyone, but you can assume that most are. So that would mean that just because somebody has pointy ears does not necessarily mean they're from the demon realm. So I've seen all kinds of questions from people. Is Tapion from the demon realm? Is Moro and the Heaters? A lot of different characters. And the answer is right there. No, not all of them, but you can assume that some or that most are. And it's also stated in this episode that many people from the demon realm sought freedom and left the demon realm to go found other planets in different parts of Universe 7, or maybe even different parts of the multiverse. This could explain why there are yard rats in Universe 2 and in Universe 7. This could explain why the civilizations of the multiverse are spread so vastly. This could also explain why so many different characters have pointy ears. Remember, not everyone, but most. So is Moro from the demon realm? Well, he is a magician. He is somebody who once battled the Grand Supreme Kai. So that to me is pretty damn demonic, if I do say so myself. And other characters, the Heaters, they might also be. But this is a fun bit of lore, but in a way it makes me wonder if the demon realm existed prior to the multiverse, or at least a very early version of the multiverse had the demon realm, and maybe the civilizations, many started there and sort of populated the multiverse. They were fruitful and they populated the other 12 universes as the years went on. Again, this is just a theory and a possibility. I don't know how much Toriyama has added or changed to the original idea of the demon realm, because it does appear like the demon realm is maybe not just part of Universe 7. Maybe it's its own thing now. Remember, Toriyama did not come up with the multiverse until 2013's Battle of Gods. And as a result of that, he may have just scrapped that original idea he talked about and just gone with this version of the demon realm for Dragon Ball Daima. Ultimately, it does not mean there's different canons with Super and Daima. It does not mean that it's, Toriyama forgot. Maybe he did. It could be that Toriyama did forget. And that does happen. Toriyama has forgotten about many things throughout his career. But even so, there are tons of contradictions even in the original manga. People seem to think that the only plot holes in Dragon Ball are stuff that's in the anime and not the manga, or in this show versus that show versus this and that, or that Toriyama never contradicted himself, but he certainly did, because he is a forgetful man. Although he didn't forget as much as people think he did, he has forgotten some bits of information. This conversation would also imply that a lot of people did not like being controlled or being under the reign of the demon kings of the past. Kibito himself tells a bit of the backstory that there was a time when many Majin, now remember, the term Majin here is not just about the Buu type of creature, that's people from the demon realm, that they slipped out of the demon realm to go, create new civilizations. And then at one point it was forbidden to leave the demon realm.
I like how Majin just means it's a badass demon now. All right, cool. So Majin being badass, and then Boo. You see what I'm saying? So shouts out to badass Boo. So then you have Majin. Shouts out to Majin. Then you have Vegeta. Shouts out to Prince Vegeta. You know what I'm saying? That nigga was Majin Vegeta, and that means he was a demon. Shouts out to being on demon time, because sometimes you got to go into that mode to get some shit done. He was like, you know what? This dude been dead for a couple years. He don't want to come back. I got to kick his ass because, he think he better than me, and I don't think so. So you know how Vegeta was. He was trying to tell him.
As I said in my review, I genuinely wonder who it was that put the kibosh on that. Who was it that ordered the demon realm to be separated from everything else and to no longer allow people to leave? Was it because of Majin Buu and the attack on the sacred Kai realm? Was it something else, some other event from many years ago? Could it have been the Moro story? There's a lot of possibilities here, and I hope Daima tells us later. But I think my favorite deep cut and my favorite Easter egg of this episode has to do with Goku trying to find the power pole, the Nyoibo. Goku used this sacred artifact to connect the realm of the sacred Karin land with the sacred heavenly realm, that is to say Karin's palace from the Lookout. I'm using both Japanese and dub terms so that everybody understands. But there was an episode of original Dragon Ball episode 123, The Secret of the Nyoibo. And in that episode, Goku spends the episode trying to find the power pole. And this sort of little sequence in Daima episode 2 appears to be a complete throwback to that. Goku's looking everywhere to find this thing. And it turns out it was on Kame Island at the Kame house being used to dry clothing. It was a clothesline. The disrespect to this sacred artifact is just I mean, it's funny. It puts a smile on my face because Toriyama wrote that. Like, I highly doubt it was any other writer because that's the kind of thing Toriyama would do. Because in the original Dragon Ball episode I mentioned a minute ago, I think Launch was using it as a broomstick. So it's a clear Easter egg and homage to OG Dragon Ball. And there's probably a lot more of those to come in Daima. I also find it interesting that Goku feels like the best way to even the score in the combat category, because he doesn't know how to fully use his body yet, is by bringing back the Nioibo, the power pole. Goku has not used this thing as an artifact since, in battle that is, since probably the attack on the Red Ribbon base was probably the last time that he used it outside of the Dragon Ball Z movies. So it's been a while, and Goku probably feels more confident with it. Obviously, the meta reason is because Daima's the 40th anniversary, and they're trying to tribute what Dragon Ball originally was, which is Goku with the stick. But hey, I'm fine with it because we know that Goku will eventually control his body, learn how to fire Ki Blast, and go Super Saiyan. It's just that it'll take a couple episodes before he can actually, get back to feeling comfortable doing that. When we finally get to the Glorio part of the episode, this is where things really take an interesting turn because there is clear foreshadowing here. The Supreme Kai asked Glorio how he knows about Goku being a kid again. And obviously we know that he was spying on Goma and them in the first episode. Well, he says that he heard it from the king of the third demon realm. That would be Goma. And then he says that he watched the battle with Majin Buu through a magic monitor. That's all true. However, then he says, I was ordered by the king to come here. Now, implications there would be he was ordered from Goma to come there. But that's not who he's talking about. And so Supreme Kai quickly asks him, interrogating him right away. So you served the king of the third demon world? And Glorio responds back and says, no, I was given the request in secret to come get you. Why would Goma be the one to get Goku to go to the demon realm? This to me just comes off really, really shady. And I would not be surprised if down the road Glorio has his own motives or might be working in league with some other factions to overthrow Goma. This was talked about all the way back in July in my first big Inside Leak video where I talked about how there's going to be a Game of Thrones type of situation where different people in the demon realm want that throne. And you can already tell that Dr. Arinsu does not want to play ball with Goma, and this guy Glorio's intentions are not clear, at least as of yet. The conversation later on would imply that maybe there's another king that hasn't been revealed yet who might be the guy that Glorio is working for, and it's possible that may be the actual final villain of the show. This is not a spoiler. I genuinely don't know because I don't have all the details of everything, but it is interesting to sort of speculate. And of course, feel free to leave a comment with your theories down in the description, or in the comment section, that is, because I want to know what you guys think about all this. So the episode comes to a conclusion with the three of them heading into the demon realm, and episode 3 will be the demon realm finally being seen by Goku's eyes for the first time. With that being said, that's the end of the video. Right now on your screen, some more videos that you should watch, including my review, talk about the world between worlds, and so much more involving Dragon Ball Daima. Thanks as always. See you guys real soon. Take care of yourself and each other.
Venom walks into a bar, pushing people aside, but makes a huge mistake. He spills Wolverine's drink. Logan tells him that he looks familiar, asking him if he stabbed him before, and as Venom gets closer, Wolverine remembers. He's Spider-Man's guy. Venom attacks, but Logan dodges and stabs him in the chest. Thinking that their fight is over, Logan grabs a beer and heads out, but Venom attacks him from behind, sending him flying through the wall, and brags about how he messed up Spider-Man. Once Logan is regenerated, he reminds Venom that Spider-Man is like 12 years old. Eventually, Wolverine overpowers Venom, and once he's on the ground, Logan tells him that someone gave him a chance a long time ago, and now this is his. Wolverine retracts his claws and says goodbye to the symbiote.
All right, so for the 4 people that might be new here, this is the next continuation part from when Goku had to fight his demon version of himself. So you're gonna get to see the end of that fight, and I believe beerus versus lygor will be the last video that I had reviewed. So shouts out to the people that don't know how to create review content, because y'all along for the ride with me, right? Right. Let's go back to it.
I feared that it would come down to this, for as we stand at the precipice of a daunting challenge, my apprehensions have grown. And as the demon realm begins to stir once again, it would only now appear as though the Dark Masters have returned as the harbingers of chaos once again. And in facing this dire threat, we all must stand united in purpose and resolute in action, for if this situation continues to grow worse, then we will be left with no other choice than to rise to the occasion and fight for the sake of preserving the multiverse by any means necessary, because if we don't, then it could very well mean the end of all life across the cosmos as we know it.
As our story now continues back inside of the demon realm with the giant Leviathan from here on, them being shown having to pull the giant Super Dragon Balls forward, as with the Dark Master Toro being shown having to further give commands to the Leviathan in pulling the Super Dragon Balls forward, was when Toro then went on to respond, "Yes, right this way, my faithful giants, and with everything going just as I had foreseen, we have everything that we need right here with us right now. And speaking of, alas, the last of the Super Dragon Balls has finally been delivered." But it was only just as the Dark Masters Drogo and Bakar were from that point then shown making their way through was when Bakar then went on to shout, "We come to you with both good and bad news, Master Toro, for even though we were able to find and retain the last of the Super Dragon Balls that we needed, there is but another problem that Jogo and I had ran into." With Jogo chiming in, "One of the angels who goes by Whis in the 7th universe had confronted us as we were retrieving the final Super Dragon Ball," with Bakara responding, "And to make matters worse, he plans to go and take action against us, assuming that he'd go and speak with the Grand Priest about the things that he was able to feel and see, Lord Toro," with Toro responding, "Then if one of those angels was able to catch on and see what you were doing, then it's more than likely that the others will soon follow as well. Which is why we must do what it is that we need to in order for this to work in our favor," Toro continues. "And while we still have the time, we must hurry and go into one of the sacred rooms of spirit and time and proceed with the plan. For we must remain vigilant at all times, for our next move will be a very important one where we will finally enact our grand design. And with the Super Dragon Balls, we will shift reality into our favor by bending their power in order to maximize their potential in secrecy. For there are but a few problems that we must go and deal with first, so it's best to not waste any more time," Toro continues. "And with the room that I have selected, finding our exact location will not be as easy even for those angels as one may think. Now let us move." To which in the meantime, and then venturing back over onto Earth and seeing as to how both Gohan and Piccolo were from there shown having to pay a visit to both Bulma and Dr. Hedo, was when Gohan then went on to respond, "Hey you guys, sorry to just drop in unannounced like this, but well, me and Piccolo came here because we have something very urgent that we would like your help on," with Piccolo responding, "And although we know that what we're about to tell you both may seem a bit crazy, but well, if we don't start to get down to the bottom of things right now, then this may turn out to be a much bigger problem than we thought," with Dr. Hedo having to chime in, "Hey, look, Bulma, it's Gohan and Piccolo, and it looks like they've had a pretty rough day on their hands as well," with Bulma responding, "Hey you guys, well what brings the two of you in here that would require our help, and what happened to you guys?" "Well, I'll go off on a limb and take a guess and say that they've been in a fight, right?" Dr. Hedo questions, with Piccolo having to respond, "Something like that, but here, we found ourselves engaging against some kind of a demon, and after finally getting rid of him, we found this here," Piccolo presents. "It's a piece of that creature's horn that was on its head, so is there any way that the two of you can tell us more about what exactly these things are by taking a blood sample of this here?" "Wait, you mean to tell us that this thing here is what was actually on a demon's body?" Dr. Hedo went on to question. "How wacky. Well, for one, the blood certainly looks different." "Yeah, no kidding," Bulma chimes in. "And this thing looks really dense, almost like it was designed to withstand anything with the way it feels." "Oh, well, I'm not sure as to what we could find right away," Bulma continues, "but if you give us some time, I'm sure we could figure something out here," with Dr. Hedo chiming back in. "Well, from the looks of it, its blood doesn't appear to be acidic, but, well, depending on its genetic makeup, I'm sure that samples of its power, or at least what this thing is made of, could be found within its DNA coding, which, well, that itself will also take a bit of time to get down to the bottom of. Well, whatever kind of information that we can go and get out of this thing," Bulma responds, "is probably something that is worth looking into, especially if it's got Piccolo and Gohan all worked up, so let's just go and see what we can find then, Dr. Hedo, and just hope for the best," with Dr. Hedo responding, "Well, we might as well go on ahead and scan this thing by using the bone density scanner over there, so let's go and give it a read." To which a few moments later, as Dr. Hedo had continued his research and having to look deeper into this horn, was when Dr. Hedo went on to respond, "Well, this is certainly fascinating. The readings on this thing are all over the place with what I'm getting here, Bulma." "Yeah, I can see that," Bulma responds. "This horn's molecular structure is unlike anything that I've ever encountered before," with Piccolo having to address Gohan by then responding, "Well, let's just hope that we were able to nail that thing into making sure that it never comes back again because I have a very bad feeling about this Gohan. Yeah, no kidding, Gohan responds. And with the way they're describing as to what they're seeing, I can only imagine as to what they're going to find in that thing, but I'm also very curious to know more about this myself as well. With Dr. Hado having to chime back in, there's a pattern of genetic complexity here that's absent in many of the species that we have in our data system, but what's even more interesting is that it looks as though whatever this creature was that Gohan and Piccolo were fighting against has some kind of paralyzing toxin within it, Dr. Hado continues, as I'm starting to believe that the nature of this creature and perhaps others like it isn't just a product of their environments, but a fundamental aspect of their genetic code. Almost like an evolutionary marvel, with Bulma having to then question, interesting, so what are we looking at here then if these things are supposed to be so much more of an evolutionary marvel? And Dr. Hado responding, well, this could be a lot deeper than what we see on the surface, so it'll take a bit of time, but let's just see what else we can go and dig up first, because, well, the more information that we can gather, the better, to which all the while and then going back into the demon realm, we only from that point then continue to bear witness to the battle involving Master Ultra Instinct Goku and his Shadow Demon, as Goku went on to rush on forward by then responding, and I have dealt with many doppelgangers in my life before, and so this isn't going to be any different than what I dealt with in my past before, so let's do this. The fool doesn't seem to understand that this is no ordinary doppelganger that he is dealing with, the demon scientist Sugami went on to chime in. This is him, only a much darker and more twisted variant of who and what this Goku is at his very core, and soon he will come to find out that fighting these shadow demons isn't going to be as easy as he may assume for it to be. Now just imagine on how much more effective these would be for us, the Dark Master Bureau responds, if we went and created more of these shadow demons by using the blood from the most powerful warriors in the multiverse. None of these mortals would even come close and standing a chance, let alone in reaching us if they tried. Actually, Lord Gira, that very plan has already been set into motion, for I have started the process of creating new shadow demons, with each of them mirroring different beings from across the multiverse, with Gira responding, very good news indeed, Sugami, for I wonder on just how far these mortals will try and go if it means fighting for the sake of protecting their precious little universe from what's coming. Yes, and so either way, they will all fail to stop us in the end. As in the meantime, with Goku's Shadow Demon now shown having to get the better of Master Ultra Instinct Goku by seemingly having to overwhelm him, was when Gira then went on to continue, and while the Saiyan mortal was shown to put up a decent enough battle against our superior Shadow Demon, I think it is now clear as to where he stands in comparison to his polar opposites, for there is nothing that I can see the Saiyan being able to do if his hands are tied behind his back, Sugami, with Sugami having to respond, then I am glad to know that you are pleased with the results of this brief battle, my lord. I will make sure that all of our Shadow Demons reign supreme over the originals, to which as the Shadow Demon was then shown kicking Goku away, it had only become painfully clear now that it seemed as though Goku was at a significant disadvantage, as Sugami then went on to continue, and with what I see, I think it's safe to assume that with the Saiyans struggling to adapt to the Shadow Demon, despite of course the Shadow Demon...
Y'all already know, shout out to Big Homie Cooking with Love and more. Appreciate him for coming through, because you know he's still live on his own channel, but yet he over here networking and coming through to fuck with your boy. Appreciate that. Y'all know how we do. There we go. I think that should fix that angle too. Let's see.
Adapting to the original, Son Goku's efforts in overcoming our experiment are dwindling. And what better way to put an end to our little show than by having him sent flying right over here, for he never stood a chance, Gira continues. For there is a lesson to be learned about all of this, and the lesson that I hope that he takes note of very cautiously, as what you are about to experience will be a revelation in learning of the difference between us, as you will soon understand that your place in the cosmos is not at the top of the mountain, Gira continues, as you will soon understand that your place in the cosmos is not at the top of the mountain, but beneath the heel of a true demon's terror, Son Goku, as I will go and break you down from the inside out, shattering not just your body, but your spirit as well, Saiyan. Now let this serve as a reminder, Goku, that you and your kind will never succeed in stopping us. Which, shockingly enough, out of nowhere, as Gira had proceeded in connecting a single solitary strike to Goku's spine and now having to completely tear apart Goku's spirit from within, was when Sugami then went on to respond, yes, this is your chance to put the Saiyan down and out of his misery for good, fellow demon. So now use this momentum to finally shut this Saiyan down and prove to Lord Gira as to why I've placed my trust in you. Show that Saiyan as to why you are superior in every single way, demon. Which moments later, with Goku's body ricocheting towards the Shadow Demon, with the Shadow Demon now seizing his opportunity and elbowing Goku in the stomach, it was only just between with the two attacks now having to take a toll on him, where Goku is from there showing powering back down as Gira then went on to respond. Excellent. And with that, so falls the mighty Goku. What did she just do to me? I can't hold on to my power. To where this was now it, because with Goku now being shown dropping on down and essentially being knocked out by both these attacks having to take a toll on his body, was when Sugami then went on to continue. You never cease to amaze me, Lord Gira, especially since it's been a very long time since I've seen you use your spirit distortion technique, but alas, these mortals, no matter how powerful they claim to be, often go and leave themselves wide open by letting their emotions dictate the course of their battles for them. For it is a mortal flaw that ultimately becomes their undoing, Sugami continues. They fight with feelings, leaving their defenses vulnerable, just as our clone was able to find and exploit by the very end. And although these shadow demons may not be able to grow stronger in the traditional sense, their strength lies in their ability to adapt during the course of any battle, as they are already at their peak from the moment of their creation, my master, with Gira having to respond. And with this test successful, we have proven that our demon clones are more than capable of contending against the originals, which only now means that more will be created for when the time comes for us to make our move, Sugami. For you have done well to prove yourself and your creation, but for now, we will go and put our guest right back to where he belongs. In the meantime, as for now, we must turn our attention to the other threats that loom, as Goku is but one small piece in a far larger puzzle. So we will go and keep him here until Lord Toro calls for his life to be ripped away, right after Lord Raijin's wish to be set free, of course. But let us not forget that we must remain vigilant until that time is right, Gira continues. And so we must be ruthless in our pursuit, leaving no stone unturned and no realm unexplored in our quest, Sugami. So in the meantime, we will continue to refine our army and collect the Super Dragon Balls while our friend remains within his cage, Gira continues. As it's for the best since this Saiyan still poses a threat to our plans, so we cannot run the risk of having him roam freely within our domain. For our maneuvers must be cloaked in the shadows and our intentions hidden until the moment is right. For when it is that we finally strike, it will be with such force and precision that the entire multiverse will have no other choice but to ultimately yield to our very will, Sugami. But little did anyone know that far off in the distance, as the demon Kibi was shown having to oversee all of this, was when Kibi then went on to say to himself,
That was when they put him right back in the chamber. He didn't even have a chance to fight. That boy Goku got laid the fuck out. They said, yeah, that was easy, quick. I don't know why he was playing with him at first. Yeah, nigga said, man, Goku got knocked the fuck out. Look at him. Packed up over here, chained back up. They said, put him back in the pack.
Continue to question, what if this Goku is not the harbinger of doom that we have labeled him out to be, Kibi questions. I don't trust this Saiyan, not by a long shot, but what if his presence here in the demon realm is truly but a result of circumstances beyond his control, or worse, what if the things that he was saying had actually turned out to be true? Could bringing back the fallen angel Murno truly be something that will destroy us all, Kibi questions? Are they all not made well aware of the things that this fallen angel could do to us if he were to somehow be revived? Or do they simply not care? For I didn't sense any lies that were coming from him, and so therefore there must be more to him than what any of us could see on the surface, Kibi continues. For I can go and destroy him right now if I just so choose, but maybe it is best for him to go back to where he came from rather than remain here where he currently is. There was no way that he could have pulled off a victory with Master Gira there having to oversee this entire battle, which only means that they were simply keeping him here so that they could use him for his combat prowess and his blood samples. But who are you, Saiyan? At your very core, who are you, Kibi questions? He could have went and ended my life when he struck me, but he didn't and decided to spare me. Well then, if you have found it within you to let me live, then I owe you the favor, but not without getting something out of you while you're still here. For I can't go and let anyone see me, but for what it's worth, you better give me all of the information that I seek, because once this is done is when you and I can call it even. Which in the meantime, when them venturing back on over onto Beerus' planet and seeing as to how Beerus was relaxing by eating a set of grapes as Vegeta was shown reading the book that Whis had given him, while continuing to not think much of it and having to look on over and seeing as to how Vegeta was fixated on this book, was when Beerus went on to then chime in, tell me something, having any luck by getting anything useful out of that book that you're reading there, Vegeta? For you've been very quiet now for the last half hour, so you better not go and get too lost while flipping through those pages, with Vegeta responding, well, this book has actually given me a bit of information on how those demons down there in the demon realm operate, along with providing me with certain spells and techniques on how to engage against some of them, but I'm trying to decipher its methods and how they are done in battle. For there appears to
to be more in this book that talks about these demons and how to engage against them than you may think. Oh, really? Is that so? Beerus went on to then question. Well, good, because maybe you'll go and clear them all out of my universe if you manage to actually learn of some of these techniques on how to get rid of them, Beerus continues. And besides, if anyone thinks that any of those demons stand any sort of chance against the Destroyer God, and especially after having battled against that angel Murno, then they have another thing coming, for I will not hesitate to do what must be done in battle. But then, it was only to the sudden shock of both Beerus and Vegeta where a voice from out of nowhere then went on to chime in. I would slow your roll down if I were you, Destroyer, for you have no idea on what we are or whom you are dealing with. So unless the two of you have some sort of a death wish that you wouldn't mind us having to grant, well then we'll be happy enough to see that through for you. With Beerus having to then question, what did you just say? And you dare arrive on my planets without my approval? Oh, now you've done it, for I will not tolerate any kind of disrespect towards me on my planet. That's right, Destroyer, the demon Haas went on to return by responding. However, we weren't sent to come back here so that we can lay back and eat grapes all day either, for we're actually on a mission to get something. And so one way or another, whether either of you like it or not, we will get what we came here for, as I promise you both that it won't take long if you just go ahead and do the right thing here, and just simply give us what we want, so that way we'll be on our merry little way, understand? And since we already had extracted what we needed from you back on Earth, Saiyan, me and Oru here were sent to come and collect something from that god of destruction while we're in the 7th universe. And don't try and assume that we're alone either, for we demons tend to have eyes and ears all around you. With the demon Oru responding, we came here for a sample of your destroyer's blood, so give us what we were sent here to collect or you will be destroyed, for our time in this universe is limited. And so now what will it be? Will you both choose to comply or shall we engage? With Vegeta responding, as if I'll allow for what happened on Earth before to happen here again. You fools have no idea on what you just did by coming here. And as far as I'm concerned, the two of you won't be going back with anything, not while I'm here. The one with the big mouth, is that him? Oru went on to then question. Is that the one that Tsugami had told us to use the vial on? It must be him. With the demon has responding, oh yes, that's him alright, but we'll use our reserves just in case we run into any trouble. They were only on my planet for no less than a few minutes and I'm already tired of listening to them speak. Beerus went on to then sit up by responding, as I'm not really in the mood to go and do it myself, but you and Goku owe me for ruining my ice cream, so now destroy them, Vegeta. Which upon Vegeta being shown now having to crack his knuckles and slowly making his way towards the demon was when Vegeta then went on to respond, I'm already 3 steps ahead of you, Lord Beerus. Go and take my blood back on Earth now, will you? Alright, demons. It's time that we get up close and personal for a moment, so that way we can get to know each other a little better. And so with that said, which one of you will be first? As it was only right then and there now, during that moment, so the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Story of the Dark Masters, the official Murno sequel, manga chapter number 9 special, then comes to a close. Now you can make no mistake about the fact that number 1, with all 4 of the Dark Masters now having complete access to all 7 of the Dragon Balls and now looking to make their way into one of the hyperbolic time chambers to use them, as with some of the many advantages that come with this, such as time acceleration and being within the time chamber by using the Dragon Balls, one could only go as far as to imagine as to what their first wish among many is going to be, to which on top of this, with Goku now ending up right back to where he had started after initially being knocked out by both the Demon Master Gira and the Shadow Demon that he was fighting, it would only now appear as though from a distance the Demon Kibi seems to be growing on Goku and noticing something very, very interesting, to which you do not want to miss this and so much more that's coming, including the battle involving Demon Oru and Vegeta coming up next, which will be made available for access right now on my Patreon for those of you out there that are members to see. So if you would not only want to support the fan manga content that you see on this channel, but also gain exclusive access and content, as well as my soundtracks, RPMGs, and so much more, then I do encourage for you guys to become a member of my Patreon today, patreon.com/unrealendgaming, in which I will go ahead and leave that link located down in the description box below and in the comment section below as well, as all of this, and I mean everything that you guys have seen go down within the story of the Dark Masters thus far, is only the tip of the iceberg to what's coming. So as the story continues to unfold and as things begin to develop, you guys are going to see firsthand exactly as to how dangerous of a situation this is going to become, and I can't wait to show you guys as to how this is all going to unfold. So once again, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all so much for being here, to which as always, if you also just so happen to be new to this channel and of course love Dragon Ball and anime, then I do encourage for you guys to head on over and smash that subscribe button, on top of making sure to give this video a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button down below if you guys enjoyed. Tune back in for more, and with all that being said, I want to thank you all so much for your time, patience, kindness, and support, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, everybody, and have a great day. Peace.
Hold it right there. Now, when did I say that we were finished? Because I didn't. For there is still so much much more that's left for us to show you. So I'd stay right where you are if I were you. And now that you're here, we do hope that you all sit back and enjoy the following things that you're about to see, because we have all worked very hard in giving you the very best that we possibly can. So don't forget to subscribe to Unreal Ed Gaming before you go, and don't forget to give this video a like and comment down below. You still, of course, would like for me to train you, don't you? Well, if you do, then we hope you all sit back and enjoy.
遊びとんねえぜ。弱虫相手じゃ嬉しかねえな。お遊びが過ぎたんじゃねえか。あん時のことは水にならそうや。おかしな顔もいたもんだ。正直、お前との戦いを楽しみにしていた。お前も成長しているようだが、まだ俺には勝てん。お前は武道家ではない。無理をするな。修行が足りんようだな。そういえば、俺も昔はお前と同じ赤人だったな。地球での屈辱。俺が忘れたと思うだ。俺様の顔に傷をつけてくれた礼をしなくちゃ。すぐに仲間に合わせてやる。あの世でな。なんだその面は。下級戦士なんかが俺様に挑むんじゃなかったな。
見つけたわ。
調子のいい相手にどう攻めるか。
そうだとしたら、なんで車の位置には武力で一気に地球を乗っ取ろうとしないんだ。いきなり人の部屋に入ってきてノックぐらいしたらどうなの？
なかなか面白い戦いになりそうだ。まさかこの対決を見る日が来ようとはな。
僕が勝ったのか？あなたは自分では信じられないな。僕の皮膚はある程度の衝撃に耐えられるよ。
願いは残ってるのね。その願い、私がもらうわ。
特殊な薬を注射してやるからね。要するに力ずくで自分の思い通りの世界にしたいってことかな。敵はかなり手強そうだな。
遅いわね。あんたはそういう人よね。出してもらえばいいのよ。
私と同じく世界征服だとしたら
1000万ゲニーでピチピチギャルコ 4,5 人よこしてくれる？地底の奥にあるこの物質を取ってきて。
まだ子供だった頃、レッドリボン軍の影響を受けた祖父のことを両親は嫌っていたからね。言っておくけど銃に脅されたからじゃないよ。
おとなしくしていれば苦しまなかったの。おやつの方が美味しそうではあるんだけれど、永久エネルギーなんて食べられるのかしら。どっちの方が強いのか、せいぜい飲んでみなさい。
無実の鍛錬は続けておったんじゃろうな。お主、なぜ悪に走る？技が泣いておるぞ。さて、手加減なしじゃぞ。老いぼれをあなろうと足元を救われるぞよ。こりゃ骨の折れる相手じゃの。武道家としてさらなる高みに進んだようじゃの。いやね、こりゃ大変そうな相手じゃの。殺し屋とはあまり感心せんの。ブロッコリーとやわしに勝てるかの？
わざわざ仕切り直してあげるなんてずいぶん優しいじゃない。一人減らしたからって調子に乗ってるみたいね。一人倒れたからって必死になっちゃって。バカね。弱いやつはやられる、当然のことじゃない。二人仲間ってまあお子様の力なんだから仕方ないか。こんなに思いっきりやられても助けてくれる人はいないなんてね。私の体力を全回復させなさい。いいの？ますます飛びたくなっちゃう。ようやく本気を出したのね。私もくたびれちゃった。まずは数で押していくってこと？子供騙しの相手なんて。
悔しいですが、奴の強さはやはり本物ですね。こいつは一体何なんだ？人を食べるなんて、そんな、なんだこの強力な牙。見ているこっちも吹き飛ばされそうだ。むちゃくちゃなのに威力は桁違いだ。何なんだこいつは。おそらく確実に決めるつもりなのでしょう。あの状況からここまで、さすがに予想できませんでした。味方のフォローが入りましたね。実力はほぼ互角。どうなるか分かりませんね。これほど大きなダメージを受けたとなると相当厳しい戦いになりますね。最初から飛ばしていますね。それだけ本気ということでしょう。ようやく力の出し惜しみをやめたのだ。思ったよりも2人の動きの相性は悪くないが、
一人倒して調子に乗り出したな。まったく
悪くない攻撃だ。波の戦士では太刀打ちできないだろうな。
はあ、少しはやる気になったみたいだね。少しは危機感が出てきただろうね。心配しなくてもこれだけで勝敗は決まらないさ。さてここからどう動くだろうね。
死ぬ前に見せてやるぞ。その程度か。この肉体に乗り換えて正解だったようだ。弱すぎる。父親の肉体の足元にも及ばんな。せめてループと合体してから挑んでくるべきだったな。話にならん。
お前の父の罪、今こそ償ってもらうぞ。相手が誰でも全力を出す。それが私の戦いだ。さあ、かかってくるがいい。受けて立つぞ。こんな腐れた野郎でも、それなりにはやるようだな。ケラケラしやがって。貴様はまたこの俺が倒してやる。貴様を倒すのはこの俺だ。覚悟はいいな。私の炎で全てを焼き尽くしてやろう。その肉体にどれほどの力があるか試してやろう。気に入らんが、もう一度戦って白黒はっきりさせろ。こいつもそれなりに鍛えていたようだな。そうでなくてはつまらん。今までに見たことのない戦い方だったが、奴は何者なんだ。合体なんて認めするか。
Hello. Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by simply subscribing to Unrelent Gaming? Also, don't forget to follow on these social media platforms. Sexist son of a bitch. Roshi. Silence Hill. Me and the fans are having a moment. That's right. I know what you want. Extra long, thick Dragon Ball content. Quality reviews with flawless editing. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You dirty bitch. Roshi, the fuck? God damn it, I need them to subscribe, Cell. And we're demonetized. Yeah, screw it. Let's cut to the video.
I cannot allow this to stand! Your insolence just cost you this world! I'll blow it all to pieces, and there's nothing you can do to stop me! He's gonna what? Try to dodge this if you can! You might manage to save yourself, but your precious Earth is doomed! I gotta risk it! 3 times Kaioken! Come here, me! Come here! It's hopeless! There's no way you can stop my Gallic gun! Impossible! His blast is exactly like my Gallic gun! Kaioken! It's time for...
So, you find yourself on the Unrelent Gaming channel. Unfortunate for you. I, Lord Fraser, will spare your life as long as you subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, don't forget to become a member of Unrelent Gaming's Patreon for tons of exclusive content, to early access media, and much more. Do it now, or else.
So with Dragon Ball Daima Episode 2 having to previously introduce our newly miniature-sized characters alongside with that of a new demon character by the name of Glorio, it is now finally time for our heroes, the Supreme Kai and Goku, having to take Glorio's lead and having to now finally enter into the demon realm. As I want to go ahead now and welcome you all to my Dragon Ball Daima Anime Episode number 3 review, and I gotta say that right off the gate from the beginning, this episode was a much-needed improvement by comparison to that of Episode 1 and Episode 2, and it was only from the very beginning where, interestingly enough, we had a conversation involving Goku having to ask more about Goma, and only for us to get further confirmation by Glorio that if Goku and company were able to in fact actually defeat Majin Buu, then King Goma shouldn't really be that difficult for them to handle, and being the fact that all of this takes place objectively before the events of Beerus and Dragon Ball Super, then from the very beginning it was basically confirmed that Goma was weaker than that of Majin Buu, and if you want to assume that he's weaker than Kid Buu, Super Buu, Fat Buu, etc., then our heroes really shouldn't have any sort of issues in having to deal with Goma and company down the road if they inevitably end up coming face to face against them. And so what was interesting about the opening acts of this episode, before they ended up getting to this giant talking fish that led them into the demon realm, which I went as far as to take issue with, at least with one particular thing that happened, but as soon as our heroes were traversing throughout space until having to come across the giant fish that was named Warp-sama, what I think was interesting and yet very reflective to the late great Toriyama's sense of humor was simply to see how Goku had kept calling this giant thing a goldfish, but when referring to this thing as Sama, which is basically some form of a deity as kind of like entity. The golden rule that the Supreme Kai kept telling Goku was that he needs to keep his mouth shut, otherwise Warp-sama is not really going to allow them in and into the demon realm, which the giant fish nearly went as far as to almost do after seeing Goku's ears, because it only appeared as though the only other way to enter into and go through Warp-sama and into the demon realm itself was to not only go as far as to reveal your identity, or at least have that of pointy ears, which the Supreme Kai gave to Goku momentarily just so they can go in. It was only briefly after Warp-sama had spoken to Glorio as our heroes went inside, it was where I went as far as to take issue with Goku having these pointy ears, because it does suggest that you need to have pointy ears to go in, but you don't really need to have pointy ears throughout the duration of your stay within the demon realm, because as soon as they ended up going inside of Warp-sama, Goku's ears ended up going back to normal, and you have to ask the case in point by reflecting onto this by saying, okay, well, was this something that was needed to be included within this episode if it was momentary, instead of giving him pointy ears throughout the entirety of the series, because it is only presumed that if you have pointy ears, can you only reside within this realm, and so I found that to be weird for him only to have pointy ears for the moment being only after they went inside of Warp-sama, but then the moment they actually ended up going inside, his ears reverted back to normal, so to me that was really dumb, but it was only upon having to go inside of Warp-sama where we then found out that the demon realm is actually divided into 3 separate realms / 3 different worlds, where the first hatch among the 3 can only be entered by palace members of the first demon world, with all 3 of them having to choose to go into the 3rd hatch first before anything else, as even Shin went as far as to question Glorio's actions by doing this, which even Shin himself had told Glorio, okay, well, that might be the fastest route for us to go through, but shouldn't we at least go through the 2nd, with Glorio basically having to further confirm that no, he only has clearance to go through the 3rd and not through any of the others. So as soon as they were all finally able to enter into the 3rd hatch of the demon realm was when Glorio said that only selective members can enter into hatch number 2, which Glorio also does in fact actually confirm that he does work for hatch number 1 directly under Goma, but what's even more interesting, and dare I say very beautiful to see, which I really do hope that we end up seeing for Moro and for Dragon Ball Super whenever the anime comes back, is the way the visuals looked, because even after seeing a giant rock-like statue of the former Demon King Dabura shown in front of Goku for the first time, even the stupid statue looks really good, so everything visually, from the sound design to the overall animation and the colors, it was all very reflective of what I believe a lot of us want to see within the Moro arc, within the Granola story, whenever that ends up getting animated like 50 years from now, like, you know what I mean? So I don't think if you go ahead and ask any Dragon Ball fan, are they going to complain about the visuals or the sound design, but the narrative is just a bit trashy here and there, but needless to say, I think they make it up in a way where you can almost kind of look at this as being something completely different than what we're normally used to, because the moment Goku ended up actually leaving Glorio's ship and getting a whiff of how this world smelled like, it actually basically kind of smelled like crap to him, because, well, I mean, Goku nearly went as far as to throw up after exiting the ship. He noticed that, of course, the weight and the air and the atmosphere around him felt different, so, of course, we were expecting, and I was hoping that things were, in fact, going to be different from the Demon Realm when compared to that of Earth, and it was. So what's the first thing that Goku ends up doing, even as a curious little miniaturized kid, is he ends up exploring the area. But even as dumb as Goku is, he almost ends up falling into a dark abyss below after trying to mimic some little mouse-like cat creature, whatever the hell that was, which had only prompted for the native demons around the area to spot Goku, and the moment they ended up spotting him, they immediately ended up trying to bow and arrow Goku to death, which at this point you have to kind of understand, okay, well, of all the characters that you want to try and go after, do you really want to try and use...
So trying to go after him with a bow and an arrow is kind of crazy, especially with Goku having his Ultra Instinct. They out here moving mad, man. What are they doing? If somebody would get them guys a coach. Shout out to Demo though. You know, this episode 3 review came out yesterday, I believe. So y'all know we got this one kind of hot off the press. Shout out to the Dragon Ball Demo reviews, because you know anybody actually showing the content that's right now being premiered is gonna get hit with the copyright sooner or later. Might not be today, but you know them videos are gonna get taken down. So y'all know to do y'all reviews proper, like you know you gotta do your format. Shout out to the fair use. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to fair use.
Bows and arrows against someone like Goku of all people, you know? But that didn't really matter, because at the end of the day, as soon as Goku ended up noticing them and quickly sidestepping and dodging all of the arrows that were making its way towards him, Glorio surprisingly enough ends up stepping in by bypassing and having to sidestep a bunch of spears being thrown his way as well, which inevitably had led him to use his pistol in taking out the natives that were around the area. So one and done, quick little fight. It wasn't anything too mind-blowing or amazing to see, but what I will say is that the fluidity and the animation behind the attacks were really solid. So if they could end up keeping that up, even from Glorio using his dumb pistol to get rid of them, that was all very well shot and very well done. So good on the Dragon Ball Daima team by allowing for everything to feel smooth and feel very consistent, which inevitably had then led us to a different area where Shin and Goku and Glorio had to walk inside of. And again, what this reminded me personally originally of was having to go back and watch some of the old Star Wars films, because this entire episode from start to finish kind of reminded me of that, because we see them enter and having to touch down on a nearby town, or at least what could be presumed to be that of a town, so we knew that the late great Toriyama was a huge fan of Star Wars, and so all of this in a nutshell reminded me of the Qui-Gon Jinn, Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of adventures where they're walking through like these shanty towns, talking to some of like the natives around the area, some of them having to, make great conversation, some of them having to be complete idiots, So it was cool to see how there was one moment where Glorio was in fact talking to an individual behind like a gate, as this individual went as far as to remind me of so many of the a-hole characters in Star Wars that you see speak down to our heroes by having to overcharge them and overprice them, But as soon as Glorio went as far as to flash his gun to him, which again was interesting because it's almost like a Jedi flashing their lightsaber to the individual that was pretty much being an a-hole to Glorio ended up giving him what he wanted, which was 2 keys, and so you can almost kind of see of how this was reflective to like Star Wars in a way, which I think was...
Yeah, but he just picked up 2 keys. Shout out to 2 key method. You dig? You might need 2 keys, my guy. Just one for the mission and one for a backup. Keep that escape plan on deck.
These things in Dragon Ball anymore outside of maybe OG Dragon Ball, but that's about it to a degree. To which another good example of having to see all of them walk into a bar and they were eating with Goku again, not having pointy ears, just like how it is in Star Wars. As soon as one of these giant green demon-like creatures alongside a wolf having to then be shown approaching Goku, was when they inevitably ended up asking Goku like, hey, you don't really have pointy ears, what the heck are you doing here? Basically calling him an outsider, but not knowing that this little kid right here is easily one of the top strongest warriors in the entire multiverse, even at that time. But instead what we ended up seeing was Glorio pop off first, which I think was good because you want to establish Glorio at least for the fans to go as far as to get behind and care about. So while Goku was eating this really just weird meat on the table, Glorio just ended up completely fodderizing 2 other fodder characters until Goku stepped in, and then Goku was the one that was shown basically having to body some of the locals around the area as well. So once again, the fluidity, seeing Goku still have this piece of meat or a burger, whatever the hell it was in his mouth, he was being typical Goku by having to leap around, using his size to his advantage, smacking all of these individuals around the area down onto the ground. Some of the more bigger demons thought that they had something going by thinking that they could slam this kid, only for Goku to be shown dropping elbows, so that was really cool to see, which they even tried to cut Goku down in half by using a giant axe as well. And with Goku being as shocked as he was, with him being a stupid miniaturized version of himself, he even went as far as to ask, well, is that really even allowed? Meaning, was it allowed for him to use the axe to try to chop him in half? Which only amped Goku up even more, because as soon as Goku realized, like, okay, these guys mean business type of deal, that was when Goku was shown having to get right into business by having to jump into the action on more of a serious level, of course by still stuffing his face by eating the burger that he was just eating on top of the facts, which I think was a really cool thing to see. Again, it wasn't something that we haven't seen be done before, but by the end of it, as soon as they ended up leaving this place, Goku essentially had knocked everybody within this bar out cold, on top of also stuffing his face with all of the food that he was eating in this place. So it was only towards the very end, as we got to see them sleep and we got to see everyone kind of get a night's rest until early on in the morning, was when the same individuals that basically went as far as to pick a fight with our heroes have stolen Glorio's ship. So that was where the episode ends up coming to a close before having to go into next week's episode, which will be that of episode 4. But even then, by the very end, I want to go ahead and get your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below about how you guys felt about Dragon Ball Daima episode 3, because not for nothing, I think out of the 3 episodes so far, this was the better episode of Dragon Ball Daima, only because of its exploration. We finally got to see some action involving Goku, involving Glorio, involving other characters from the Demon Realm, and it was like I said earlier, this entire episode felt like a Star Wars episode in a way. They were out exploring different places, encountering different bandits and different enemies and stuff like that. So for what it was worth, it remained consistent. It wasn't as boring or as slow paced as maybe episode 1 and episode 2 were. The utilization of Goku's skills finally came into play by comparison to that of what we saw during episode 2, where he wasn't really fully in tune with his body, he couldn't really fly or do anything of the sort, he was having trouble utilizing his martial arts skills. So I'm really glad that they went as far as to keep Goku consistent in this episode by comparison to that of episode 2. But by the end, I want to go ahead and get your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Again, thank you all so much for watching, everybody, and thank you all so much for your time. To which, once again, if you also just so happen to be new to the channel and of course love Dragon Ball and anime, then I do encourage for you all to head on down below and smash that subscribe button, on top of making sure to give this video a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button down below. Tune back in for more, and with all that being said, I want to thank you all so much for your time, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, everybody, and have a great day. Peace.
Hello. Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by simply subscribing to Unrelent Gaming? Also, don't forget to follow on these social media platforms. Sexy son of a bitch. Rosie. Silent Cell. Me and the fans are having a moment. That's right. I know what you want. Extra long, thick Dragon Ball content. Quality reviews with flawless editing. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You dirty bitch. Roshi, the fuck? God damn it, I need them to subscribe, Cell. And we're demonetized. Yeah, screw it. Let's cut to the video.
All right, so I believe that should be all of the filler, as you would say. You know, the smaller videos, the update on Dima. Shouts out to your dude Geekdom and Unrelenting Gaming. You know, they be coming with the content and Dragon Ball information and stuff every week, which is why I support both of them. Y'all make sure y'all go to all original channels and support them yourself over there, because you know you ain't gotta wait on Super Saturdays to get your Dragon Ball content. You know, I just do what I do when I do it. What up, Sue? Appreciate y'all for stopping through. She said, well, rewatch. Yeah, well, you know, it's cool. So you'll be in whenever you are in. The good thing about the videos are they are up for when you want to view them. Shouts out to the viewers. That's what the videos is for. And you keep me in your algorithm by watching more videos. So you know to do all that good stuff. But hell, that's what's popping. Anyways, like we were saying, we finna get to the last part of this, which is actually going to be beerus versus lygor officially. You know, it's an hour and 4 minutes into the video, so the replay game, y'all know if y'all didn't want to see whatever parts, y'all know to go back and chop it up. Leave your timestamps in the comments also. For the people that just left, hopefully they hit the like on their way out.
Did you know that Sun Wukong is immortal 7 different ways? Sun Wukong is a mythical being from the owl journey to the west. In addition to being able to lift mountains on his shoulders and leap 50,000 kilometers in a single bound, he is also immortal in 7 different ways. The first time he became immortal was when he trained with the monks Kuti for 7 years, obtaining a secret formula that granted him immortality. Later, he managed to erase his name and that of his entire tribe from the Book of the Dead, making himself immortal a second time. For the third time, he ate all the peaches in the Garden of the Celestial Peaches, which granted him immortality. Then, at the banquet of the Queen Mother of the West, he drank the celestial wine, becoming immortal for the 4th time. Still drunk, Wukong ate the pills of longevity, gaining immortality for the 5th time. The Monkey King was then placed in Laozi's furnace to be burned alive, but instead, he burned away his mortality, thus becoming immortal for the 6th time. Finally, Wukong found some ginseng fruits and ate them all, obtaining immortality for the 7th time.
Jesus Christ, really?
Don't forget to become a member of Unrelent Gaming's Patreon for exclusive manga content and early access. Isn't that right, Sam?
I already joined this Patreon today. Tons of great stuff on there, actually. But did you really have to blow up the city?
Yes.
You blew up the domino. You blew up the dominoes, and you're laughing. Do you realize the fucking crisis here?
And you will be next. Unless you subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications right now.
Or else what? You'll aggressively scream another man's name for several hours?
Kakarot! Kakarot!
Although I had already suspected that Lord Beerus would have needed to go and draw this power out if he hoped to have been any sort of match against Lord Lygor out there. But even now, if all goes according to Lord Beerus's plan, and if he is able to dedicate himself towards finishing this battle swiftly before Lord Lygor can try and turn this around on him, then Lord Beerus shouldn't have any issues in walking away victorious by the end of this contest. But as sure as I am and as optimistic as I can be, something tells me that there is far more to Lord Lygor's nature than what we're able to see on the surface.
As our story now continues, following the initial battle involving Universe 20's God of Destruction Lygor having to go head-to-head against Universe 7's God of Destruction Beerus, as with Beerus now having to complete his initial transformation by unveiling his new Hakaishin Ultra form to Lygor for the first time, was when Goku and the others went on to then chime in. Are you guys seeing this? So Lord Beerus, he has an entirely new and different transformation, with Vegeta responding, I don't believe it, and so this was Lord Beerus' true power that he went on to discover and achieve while training with Gohan. But what is is that? And why does it feel as though he is also wielding the same kind of heat that Ultra Instinct gives off when you're wielding it? As Gohan went on to then ask Whis, hey, so what do you think, Whis? With Lord Beerus now at his absolute best out there against Lord Lygor, do you think that it'll be enough to win him the battle? With Whis responding, well, although I would usually go as far as to say yes, for a power like this should be more than enough to be able to handle whatever Lord Beerus encounters, but I would say that it would be best for us to wait and find out for ourselves before we go and assume that Lord Beerus will easily win this. As Lygor then went on to chime back in, well, for I must say that I'm quite pleasantly surprised, Lord Beerus, for I can see that you have gone to extraordinary lengths in reaching the heights of power that most gods would only ever dream of achieving. However, while this ultra form of yours is very impressive to witness from across the battlefield, don't think for 1 second that this newfound strength of yours will deter me from winning, God of Destruction, as this only goes on to fuel my resolve even more, as I do not fear your capabilities and I won't back down from challenging them either, for I will carry on in testing every ounce of power that you have awakened, and I will do so by matching you accordingly. With Ultra Beerus responding, well, be that as it may, and while you appear to be very sure of yourself and having what it takes to compete with what I've become now, understand that just like Lord Reno had to ultimately find out firsthand for himself, that I am about to go and reveal to you on why I am among the strongest gods among all 20 of our kind, as well as having you suffer your first major defeat by the hands of a far more cunning and far more experienced God of Destruction, Lord Lygor. And if you are every bit as good...
Look at Beerus over here flexing. He's showing off the hard work he put in at that training camp. You know him, he was over there getting it in.
As you claim for yourself to be here against me, Ultra Beerus went on to then dash towards Lygor by then responding, then I offer you this one and only final chance to go and prove your worth here against me and show me as to what you are truly made of by giving me your all. To which it was only just then with Lygor then being shown having to attempt to strike Beerus, with Beerus all of a sudden being shown having to vanish and reappearing behind him, was when Goku then went on to question, whoa, just look at Lord Beerus move out there. So wait, is this Lord Beerus' true power then, Whis? Because why does it also seem like Lord Beerus is moving in a similar way to how I move when using my Ultra Instinct? With Whis responding, well, what you are witnessing right now is not only the culmination of Lord Beerus' true power, but this is also the embodiment of Lord Beerus' destructive nature combined with the teachings of Ultra Instinct that I've instilled in him over countless years prior, as this form represents not only the peak of his potential that goes far beyond anything that he could have achieved in his prime, but Lord Beerus now ranks among the highest echelons among the gods, perhaps even as the strongest among them all while wielding this newly discovered power that he fully went on to unlock and use against Gohan. However, I would rather wait to see on how exactly this is going to go, because unless Lord Lygor has something unexpected in store for Lord Beerus that will go on to match him, then it would only be best for us to wait and see on how this will go before we grow sure of our predetermined decisions. With Vegeta then having to question, so wait, are you saying that this newly crowned destroyer may still have a chance in matching up to and even overpowering Lord Beerus' new form? But how can that even be when it looks as though the battle seems to be shifting within Lord Beerus' favor? With Whis responding, well, that is because gods of destruction are very unpredictable by their very nature, Vegeta, which also means that anything can happen between now and whenever their battle is called to an end, and so that is why they should never be underestimated, for you may never know on what one of them could have up their sleeve. To which it was only then just upon with Ultra Beerus being shown going on the offensive, with Lygor being shown trying his best in defending himself, was when Beerus then went on to quickly respond, and I must give you credit and say that you are holding up far better than how Lord Reno was shown having to hold up against me when facing off against such a power. But my only question to you now is, how long do you believe that you can keep this going for, Destroyer? Because you and I both know, Beerus proceeds upon being shown punching Lygor in the face, that the longer you try and attempt to continue this battle against me, the worse this is going to go and get for you, Destroyer. And so now, what do you say? Do you wish to give up, or would you still rather continue? With Lygor responding, bro, don't grow overconfident. confidence here, Destroyer. Because so as long as I am able to draw breath in this duel here against you, Lygor proceeds upon being shown Neem Beerus in the face, then you and I are very far from finished here, Lord Beerus. Because just like yourself, if you haven't already figured it out by now, that I would much rather fall and completely be crushed in battle while maintaining my honor than ever willingly go and give up against another god of destruction. Well, good, Beerus quickly responds upon being shown double axe handling Lygor across the face. Just as I expected that you would, and so that's the spirit god of destruction. But although you are brave and still wanting to go and continue, this will only continue to grow worse for you the longer we battle. To which it was only then just upon with Lygor being shown on the ground and having to notice Beerus firing off multiple energy blasts was when Lygor then went on to quickly respond. So he's going for broke since he probably knows that he cannot hope to maintain that power for very long, which is more than likely why he is resorting to wanting me to back down now, for this must be the reason as to why. Well, very well then, God of Destruction, but I know that there must be a reason on why you are so quick to have me back down from this battle. Lygor went on to then dash towards Beerus by responding, and while I have my doubts on how long you are able to maintain this newly discovered power of yours, I do not plan on stopping until I see this for myself here against you, and so I will not yield no matter what it is that you try and do here against me. Interesting, Beerus responds upon Lygor being shown knocking away all of Beerus's blasts by them being shown getting right next to him. So you believe that stamina is going to be my weakness now, do you? Well, I'd hate to have to inform you like this, but even this itself will not work since I have already hardened my stamina reserves to far greater heights. What the? Well, we'll go and see about that one, God of Destruction. Lygor was then shown teleporting behind Beerus, for I will be the judge of where this battle of ours is going to go, and so just you wait. To which as Lygor was then shown having to bite down on Beerus' shoulder was when Goku went on to then chime in. Oh gosh, well I know that one has to more than likely hurt, but man, some of these destroyers sure do love to bite down on their enemies until they've ripped them all to pieces now, don't they? With Vegeta chiming in. Yeah, well don't go and remind me, Kakarot, because you weren't the one who mostly had to go and deal with such outcomes during our battles, since you on the other hand were too busy nearly getting knocked around by them and almost being shown getting put to sleep. But then it was only just upon Lygor being shown attempting to ragdoll Beerus around, with Beerus shown simultaneously punching Lygor, was when Beerus went on to then respond. Though you are quite the opponent and a difficult god of destruction to deal with in a one-on-one battle, and if I hadn't went and revealed to you the fruits of my true nature after spending the time that I did to train and getting to where I currently am, then from this point moving forward, it should be clear that there isn't going to be a single move that you can go and make here against me that I won't already see coming. And since the gap between our powers should be more than enough to tell you as to where we currently stand from within this moment, I have you dead to rights, and no matter what you try and do, I will already be 2 steps ahead of you, God of Destruction. For you had went and fought well, but this is where it ends. Beerus went on to then knock Lygor away by elbowing him in the stomach, and if there was any doubt in having you question my tenacity and helping you wage war against these so-called gods of destruction, Ultra Beerus responds upon being shown firing a blast, then allow for this moment to be further proof on why that shouldn't be the case, for I am not the same destroyer both mentally and physically as you may have remembered me in being Destroyer. To which as a giant explosion was then shown taking place in the distance was when Beerus went on to then continue, as I hereby want for this to be a painful reminder to you, even as an ally to my universe, that there is no other god of destruction, whether they be friend or foe, that will be capable and strong enough to overshadow me. So what do you think? Goku then went on to turn towards the others by asking, you guys think that that'll do it for Lord Lygor out there? Because something tells me that this isn't going to be enough to win Beerus today. With Vegeta responding, well, as much as I'd like to also think that it will, I want you to go and take a closer look, Kakarot. For I don't think that Lord Lygor is finished here with Lord Beerus, and his swelling aura is very evidence of that. With Ultra Beerus being shown having to then chime in, maybe now you can see that I wasn't going to be as easy to deal with on the battlefield as you may have assumed. assumed that I would be God of Destruction, and now that you can see that for yourself firsthand, what do you say we go and end this battle of ours now that you can see that you are no match for me as you are? Or do you still wish to somehow go and resume this contest here against me? Because if you do, then I highly doubt that you will be able to take much more of that without having me knock you out or possibly even destroy you, which is obviously something that I don't want to have to go and do. And so now what's it going to be? With Lygor being shown having to extend his arms from the smoke and then responding, I must admit that even I myself had never had expected to ever come to see the day where a pre-existing and fellow God of Destruction would ever go as far as to push me this far in a duel before. And with Lord Tigron being the only exception in doing so, Lygor continues, you, Lord Beerus, are the first among the original gods to go as far as to achieve this, and for that, you have my deepest levels of respect. But while your power comes to me as a sudden and unexpected surprise, I was actually hoping that something like this would happen in meeting another god who can push me as far as you did. However, do not let this moment here deceive you in allowing for this to get to your head, Lord Beerus, for you have only seen but a small fraction of what I'm truly capable of, Lygor continues, as there is far more to my true power than what you've encountered thus far here against me. And so while I admire your will along with your warrior spirit to continue this contest here against me, you have hereby now left me with no other choice than to do what I must if I am in hopes of matching this power of yours, God of Destruction. For I want you now to go and prepare yourself for an overwhelming storm of power, the likes of which you have never expected nor experienced come from another destroyer before. And while I can see that look deep within your eyes, which tells me on how much you truly have changed since meeting you for the first time back on your home world, momentary victories are dangerous illusions, God of Destruction, Lygor continues, for they shouldn't have to go and be celebrated until you have seen them through until the very end, which our battle here has not reached, Lord Beerus. For even though I wasn't expecting to find myself in this current situation, since I had already began preparations and further training with Lord Tigron, you should consider yourself extremely honored, Lord Beerus, for you are about to witness a side of me that only one other destroyer before you has ever seen. And while I recognize that you and I truly aren't so different when compared to one another, Lygor continues, our power, on the other hand, when comparing where we currently are along with and seeing how our skills have shaped us into becoming who we are, couldn't be any more different, God of Destruction. With a curious Beerus having to then ask, is that so, Destroyer? And how exactly can you be so sure of yourself that even while exerting your full power, that you'd simply have what it takes to stand up against what I've become now? Because now I'm curious by what you mean, and so tell me, are you bluffing? Because what kind of strength could you hope to reach down and draw forward onto the surface here against me that you think that'll be enough to put me down and keep me down for good, Destroyer? Because judging based from what I can tell, you are either stalling for time or you've been hiding your true power from me since the very beginning, and so which one is it? Well, if you believe that I am bluffing or simply stalling for time, Lygor responds, then you couldn't be further from the truth, because not only are you wrong in your assumptions about how far my true power is able to take me here against you, but if you truly believe that you are without a rival to this newly discovered power of yours, then you can think again, Lord Beerus, as you weren't the only God of Destruction who had received the grace of training by the hands of an angel, to which as Lygor went on to erupt by powering up tremendously similar to Beerus, it was only just upon with a gigantic aura now beginning to emanate right before Beerus was where Beerus went on to then quickly chime back in. Wait a second, surely this can't mean what I think that it means now, can it? Because if what it was that he had just said is to be taken as truth, then no, but that's impossible, Beerus went on to then put his guard up by continuing. How was he able to go and achieve such a thing within such a short amount of time? Wait, yes, of course, for the passage of time in his universe is vastly different when compared to the rest of us, and since the flow of time is accelerated here in this universe, Beerus continues, continues. By the time those two newly appointed destroyers were put in their current positions, who knows on how much time had passed when compared to the amount of time spent in the other existing 18 universes. For now, I see what he did. As a shocked Gohan then went on to question, whoa, there's just no way. What incredible power, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop either. And so, what in the world is this? And why does this look similar to what Lord Beerus had undergone? With Whis responding, well, as surprising as it is for me to say this, but that's because it is. Now watch and observe very closely, Gohan. To which it was only then moments later with Lygor's aura now beginning to dissipate as Lygor had now looked visually different was when Lygor went on to address Beerus by responding, behold, mighty destroyer, for you weren't the only god of destruction who had decided to walk down this similar path. For as you can now begin to see, I had underwent a journey that was not so different from your own Lord Beerus, as not only did I go as far as to train with my own angel in learning of the ways of achieving the impossible, but I too am also a graduate of Angel Ivalco's training, just like you. And if you honestly thought that you were the only one who was capable of amalgamating your destroyer nature with Ultra Instinct, Lygor continues, then think again, God of Destruction, because it was as I had told you, as there is more to my power than you can possibly begin to know of, and now you will go on to see it firsthand for yourself, so that way you may fully go on to understand. As a shocked Beerus went on to then respond, I can't believe what I'm seeing, so it's true. So this was what you've been hiding from us all along, now wasn't it? So this was what I've been sensing that was coming from deep within your very spirits. To which it was only shockingly enough then moments later as Hakaishin Ultra Lygor was then shown having to stand before Beerus was when Lygor then went on to respond, look closely and bear witness, for if this was what you've been hoping to see, then I welcome you to soak it all in, for this here is my all destroyer, and with you and I being the only two destroyers who are able to wield such power, Ultra Lygor continues, I can go as far as to assure you that our strength along with our skills couldn't be any more different. And now that the battlefield has been evened and with both of our true powers manifested onto the surface, let us go and resume exactly where we have left off and find out on just which one of us is truly the strongest warriors among the gods, Lord Beerus. As it was only right then and there now, during that moment, the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, story of the resurrected fallen gods of destruction, the legendary God Saga, manga chapter number 7 special, then comes to a close.
Well, actually, I'll go ahead and take it from here, as I do want to go as far as to address something very important with our dear viewers at the moment. As before I go and give you the following information, if you aren't already a member of Unreal's Patreon community, then you are truly missing out on so much without you even knowing, because not only is the next episode already on the page, but if you want to support all of the manga content that you see and gain access to tons of exclusives along the way that range from a variety of different things, then we do encourage for you all to become members of our Patreon community today, for we will link everything down within the description box below and pinned comment section as well. Now, I will go as far as to say that even though I am extremely surprised to see that Lord Lygor is also able to wield a similar power that echoes Lord Beerus's, I knew that there was something more to this god of destruction that no one else was able to see, and it looks as though I was right, because now that both destroyers are at the height of their absolute power and ready to go all out in finishing this contest between them once and for all, you do not want to miss out on what is about to happen coming up next. So we hope that you all enjoyed today's video, as before you leave, do make sure to give this video a thumbs up by smashing that like button on your way out, as well as subscribing to Unreal in Gaming's channel in case you are new around here. We thank you all for watching and hope you all have a wonderful day, everyone, as we'll see you all in the next one.
Hello. Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by simply subscribing to Unreal Gaming? Also, don't forget to follow on these social media platforms, you sexy son of a bitch. Roshi, Silent Cell, me and the fans are having a moment. That's right. I know what you want. Extra long. thick Dragon Ball content. Quality reviews with flawless editing. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You dirty bitch. Roshi, the fuck? God damn it, I need them to subscribe, Cell. And we're demonetized. Yeah, screw it. Let's cut to the video.
You're making a big mistake. Where do you think you're going? Pity, what a waste of talent. Not today. Back off. Have it your way. A tough guy like you should be able to face the truth.
Are you okay?
Gohan got beat the fuck up by Vegeta once again. Then they wonder why that kid didn't like fighting.
Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light. When you're far away, I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night.
Y'all already know to go hit up the Buy Me a Coffee.
Till the morning light.
Turn that zero into we got some Buy Me a Coffee heroes, right? Shout out to the hot dogs. Y'all know to go get y'all membership. Keep that cracking, right? Says we have 0, so you know we're trying to fix that.
Remember me when you're far away. I always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I always have a place for you. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light. Remember me when you're far away. I always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom.